Welcome back. So in the first video, we looked at linear pairs and vertical angles. And then we looked at how we can apply some algebra to working with them. And then we recalled what it means to be perpendicular. And we learned the symbol that we're going to use in geometry to represent perpendicular, the little upside down T. Let's see how we can apply some of what we've learned in these lessons to a proof. Okay? Given the figure at the right, and the measure of angle BDG equals 8x minus 102, and the measure of angle ADH equals 2x plus 6, prove that the measure of angle ADG equals 138 degrees. Okay, so I'm going to start with looking at my givens, which is really kind of weird because it says given the figure at the right, but I'm not going to write here the figure at the right because, well, down here it's no longer at the right, it's up and above. What this means is I can look at this picture and I can say things about this picture that are in it. So I can say certain angles are vertical, or I can say certain angles are a linear pair. Okay, so here's my strategy that I'm going to use to figure out what information am I going to need from this picture. I'm going to look at the two angles that they've given me information about. Angle BDG. So where is that? BDG, that's this angle here. And angle ADH. ADH, that's this angle here. And I'm going to notice something about those angles. I notice they are vertical. So that's the first thing I'm going to put in my statements, is I am going to talk about what type of angles did they give me information about. They gave me information about vertical angles. So these two angles, the measure of angle, or not the measure, we don't need that, angle BDG and angle ADH are vertical angles. Okay, and I just abbreviated the word angles. And under my reasons, I can put given, and sometimes we put given by the picture, but just given is enough. Then I'm going to put these two givens. The measure of angle BDG is equal to 8x minus 102, given. And the measure of angle ADH equals 2x plus 6 degrees. And that was also given. Okay? So now what did we just learn about vertical angles? We learned that with the vertical angle postulate, you can say the two angles equal each other. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say these two angles, the measure of angle BDG is equal to the measure of angle ADH. Because up here, they're vertical. So that's the vertical angle postulate. Okay? So now that I have an equation, I can substitute into that equation. I can say the measure of angle BDG is really 8x minus 102. That equals the measure of angle ADH is really 2x plus 6. Okay, and I used substitution. Okay, so now let's go ahead and solve this. The first thing I need to do is the measure of angle, I need to move my x's. Let's get all our x's together, right? So I'm going to move this 2x to the other side, and we don't usually write it, so I'm going to write it real small. I'm going to subtract the 2x. So 8x minus 2x is 6x minus 102 equals, that's going to become a 0 plus 6 is just 6, and I subtracted 2x on both sides. Oh, do you see what I forgot? Substitution, POE. Okay, make sure if you're going to abbreviate that I can tell the difference between your subtraction and your substitution, right? right, the next thing I need to do is I need to get the 6x all by itself, so I'm going to add 102 to both sides. 6x equals 106, or 102 plus 6 is 108, and we added 102 on both sides, so addition, property of equality. And last but not least, we're going to divide both sides by 6, and x is going to equal, let's see, 108 divided by 6 is 18. And how did I get from here to here? I divided by 6 on both sides. Okay? All right, let's see. Is that what I'm trying to? Nope, that's not what I'm trying to prove. Let's see. What am I trying to prove? I didn't even pay attention to that. We should probably figure that out. I'm trying to prove that ADG equals 138. ADG. So I'm dealing with this angle over here. But I do know, when I look at this picture, that these two angles are a linear pair, right? So I could look at these two angles and say these two angles are a linear pair. I could also look at these two angles and say these two angles are a linear pair. So I kind of have two different options of what I could write, okay? In both of them, I'm going to start with my angle ADG that I'm trying to find. Angle ADG. And then I need to pick one of the other two angles that it's linear with, right? It makes a line, okay? So I could pick either the blue angle on top, the BDG, which is 8x minus 102, or I could use this linear pair, and I could pick this angle, angle ADH, because these two angles are a linear pair. The 2x plus 6. Since I can pick either one of these, for me, I feel like 2x plus 6 seems easier to work with than 8x minus 102, just because they're smaller numbers and there's a plus sign. That seems easier. So for me, I'm just going to pick the second one. I'm going to go with angle ADH. So angle ADG and angle ADH are a linear pair. Okay, so if those two are a linear pair, how did I know I could write that down? Okay, because I saw it in the picture, which means it was given by the picture. The same way we knew these two were vertical, because it was given in the picture. I know these two are a linear pair because it's in the picture. So given, and if you want, you could put by picture. Okay? All right, so then the next thing we're going to look at is if I have a linear pair, my linear pair postulate says if I add these two together, it's going to make a line that's 180 degrees. So the measure of angle ADG plus the measure of angle ADH, so these two angles added together equal a line that's 180 degrees on each side. And I can say that because of the linear pair postulate. Okay, so guess what I get to do now? I'm going to get to substitute. Okay, we can do a couple different ways to substitute. I can go ahead and first figure out, well, ADH I knew is 2x plus 6, right? So I can go, let's find this angle. Okay, the measure of angle ADH equals 2x plus 6, but we found x, remember? X is 18. I'm going to substitute that in. Substitution, property of equality. Okay, so then I'm going to simplify that. 2 times 18 plus 6. 2 times 18 is 36 plus 6 is 42. So the measure of angle ADH equals 42. And all I did was simplify this expression. Okay? So now, promise we're almost done. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take this blue one that we have up here, because now I know what ADH is. ADH is 42. So I'm going to take my measure of angle ADG plus the measure of angle ADH. And I know that equals 180. And what I did, oh, sorry, I messed up here. We already have this written down, right? I was supposed to, I know what ADH is, right? ADH is 42. I don't know if I have any whiteout handy. No, I do not. Okay, so I replaced the ADH with what it equals, 42. That is substitution property of equality. Okay? All right, so now I want to get this ADG all by itself. I'm going to subtract the 42 on both sides so that it cancels out there. And the measure of angle ADG is going to equal 180 minus 42 is 138 degrees. And we just subtracted 42 on both sides, so that's my subtraction property of equality. Let's see, what do we do next? What are we trying to prove? We're trying to prove that, oh, ADG equals 138. The measure of angle ADG equals 138. I have gotten to my final answer. That, my friends, is my total final proof. Okay, so we had to go through and use our vertical angle postulate to first figure out how big one of the vertical angles was, so that I could use that with the linear pair postulate to find out how big this other angle here was. Okay, and in a proof, remember, we have to show every single step. Okay, thank you for sticking with me through that. That was a tough one. I appreciate you watching, and good luck on your assessment. If you have any questions, make sure you ask during sync time or tutoring. Thanks for watching.